Thank you. I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again. You don't know how much I've missed all of you. And I promise you I'll never desert you again. Because after Salome, we'll make another picture and another picture. You see, this is my life. It always will be. There's nothing else. Just us. And the cameras. And those wonderful people out there in the dark.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Out There in the Dark. I'm Azed Majid, and with me, as always, is...
Tom Alexander.
Right, and we're two guys in the film industry here in Toronto, talking about movies and stuff around movies and, you know, the whole culture of cinema.
Exactly.
Right. Of course, which extends to be about everything, because cinema is a lens by which you can just sort of see like culture and politics and
psychology,
fashion.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah. So
drop out of school and listen to us.
Right. Just, we're starting a cult. Come and join our cult. Okay. Everybody in the cult has to have sex with Tom. Anyway. No, we're not. But we are going to be talking today. There's no segue to this, so I'm just going to go right into it. You know what, Tom? I found a segue. I found a segue. Okay. You know what, Tom? You're a real character.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you ever say that about people?
Yeah.
They're a real character, right? And what you mean by that is they have a kind of, I think, a definable set of traits, or they're either outlandish or
something that makes them a whole person.
Yeah,
something
makes them
multifaceted,
distinct, right?
Unique,
and that's relevant to what we're talking about today, because we're doing a special show today on character actors. Okay, so if you're really into movies, for as long as me and Tom have been, you start to build up a kind of like catalog of these actors who are kind of in the background a bit more. They're not the leads. They're rarely leads, but they kind of show up over and over again in great movies. And those are the character actors, right? So, but I don't know, maybe we can go through a better definition of what as opposed to a lead actor or a supporting actor even. Right?
Well, actors in film and television encompass all sorts of different types of roles. You've got movie stars like your Tom Cruises and Brad Pitts. You've got TV actors who are familiar to audiences at home and who have more difficulty crossing over into movies.
Like Gary Coleman.
Gavin McLeod.
Gavin McLeod.
We have to go back to the 70s.
Yeah.
Actually, that makes sense because the lines have blurred a lot.
Totally. Yeah.
As television has become less of a second-rate medium from the 70s and 80s, supposedly, to now when, most television is better than most cinema.
Yeah.
So, but in any case, it's not easy for actors to cross over from film to television and vice versa. But the character actors are the ones who just seem to either meld invisibly into a role, or they recur in the same types of roles over and over again, to the point where it's like almost like a shorthand for the audience to say, "Oh, now I know what kind of character this is right away."
Right.
It's kind of like what a movie star does, but this one does it more as part of the fabric of the background. Yeah,
and I think so. There's a couple of ways to talk about this. I mean, there's, like you said, there's actors like Brad Pitt or whatever, or Nicole Kidman. They're always going to be, the star of the movie, and there are some things that go along with that. Like, I think one of the major differences between a character actor and a lead is something I read, but I can't remember where I read it now, but it was a very good point, which was the character, like the lead is often not the most interesting character in a movie, right? The lead is more like your stand-in, either your fantasy idea of, who you are, right? Or somebody
like a surrogate.
Like a surrogate or a proxy. or it's somebody that you wish you were, so that kind of thing. So that's why you have to have these incredibly beautiful people who are, these aspirational figures, right? But you can't make them too wacky or crazy or outside the realms of a sort of range of identification, right? That the average, viewer will understand, right? So you have to kind of not make them not stick out too much. Whereas the character actors, there's no such rules, right? Because you're not primarily being carried through a story movie by the character actors, right? They're more like pop-ups, they kind of come in and out of scenes.
Or they might anchor the film somehow. Like I was thinking of, say, Schindler's List. You identify.
I'm sorry to hear that.
You identify more with the Ben Kingsley character than the Liam Neeson character, I think, because he's more the workaday, on the ground, doing the accounting, doing all the, the work, whereas, Liam Neeson is just running the show.
Yeah, and it brings up another point about a character actor versus a lead. Oftentimes the character actors in a movie or what they might call a supporting actor outshines the lead, and that has to do with good acting. What I mean? So a lot of these, I guess and with the strike that's still continuing as we're recording this, some of the points I've heard about people's perceptions of actors, for example, that all actors are rich, get work all the time, are always, are living this glamorous existence and whatever. And people have come out, like Fran Drescher and others have come out and said, that's the 1% of, of the industry. The rest of the people are making like $26,000 a year, right?
The strike is not about the Tom Cruises of the world.
No.
It's about the workaday people just trying to make a living.
Yeah,
doing supporting roles.
Doing supporting roles,
or even some leads.
Yeah, and I've worked with a bunch of actors in projects I've been doing here in Toronto who are well known here in Toronto, and in the maybe a little bit more in the Canadian film scene, but they're still taking cheap parts and doing small bits and stuff because they love acting and they're good at it, and it's whatever. I guess the point being that the character actor is sort of
the unsung hero.
Like a really they're like, in a way, they're more the not necessarily directly a truth or anything, but I do think that sometimes character actors have more integrity. Because they're not just making it because they're beautiful or because they're sexy or whatever, right? I'm not saying that about lead actors like Brad Pitt. He's a fine actor, and same Leo, and same with Nicole Kidman and Kate Blanchett. They're beautiful and they're talented, and that's why you want to kill them, right? But yeah, we're talking about, these are really dedicated actors who pop up in all kinds of different things, right? And I was thinking about this today, that I think this shift between TV and movies that you were just talking about, like in the 70s and the 80s, you would never see a major movie star in a TV show, right?
No,
rarely, right? Like I remember when Woody Allen, who was considered like a cinema person, did a TV version of his play, Don't Drink the Water.
Right.
And it was a huge deal. It was like, Woody Allen on TV, because you just wouldn't see those people, right?
Well, there's a story about John Travolta, how Ryan Murphy, when he was casting for the O.J. Simpson show, was begging Travolta for months to be on the show and playing Robert Shapiro. Right. And he just kept saying, no, I don't do TV. I haven't done TV since Welcome Back, Kotter.
Right.
Which is shocking to think about.
Yeah.
And he finally did, and it was a great performance.
Yeah, that was a great performance, and that's the thing, that attitude of, I only do movies because they're more elite and they're more culturally high art and all that stuff. That's gone now.
Yeah, Julia Roberts has done TV now, and
everybody's done TV. yeah, that's completely gone. I think Breaking Bad, Sopranos, all that kind of changed the, The Wire. They changed the whole
They all
landscape.
changed.
Yeah,
The whole HBO,
yeah,
beginning of the peak TV era, which we're still in.
yeah. And now it's getting to the point where it's like they're indecipherable. Like there's so many limited series that are about 4 to maybe 6 episodes, right? Maybe 10.
And it's just a long movie.
It's just a long movie, exactly, right? So. Having said that, I mean, one of the things I did think about were I think some actors who are leads these days also try to go the character actor route. Like John Hamm is a perfect example of that, right? Like obviously a very striking, good, strong leading man, right? Well, in Mad Men, he was, I mean, I've talked to friends of mine who like wish they were him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that aspirational thing of being like a suave ladies man, in the 60s when you could do whatever the fuck you wanted, yes, it's not a model of masculinity that people celebrate these days, but that doesn't mean that there isn't some pull on
I think it's something very attractive about
there's something attractive about him, yeah. And he, he's definitely a good-looking guy and stuff like that. But after Mad Men, I noticed he started to choose a lot of, cameos, where he would pop up in different things.
He could never be a lead in a movie for some reason.
I don't know that that's true. I think that's a decision he made. I can't say for sure, but I think he could have easily gone a kind of, rom-com route.
I find John Hamm a bit of a cipher, kind of, which is why he was so effective in Mad Men, which was a show I had a lot of problems with, and I didn't get into it. And I find John Hamm good in comedies, less so in dramatic roles.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That was a bit of a surprise, though.
Bridesmaids, he's great.
Yeah, like whatever, and even in 30 Rock, and stuff like that, he played
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. He was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, so he's good at that. But I'm saying he was positioned as whether you like him or not, like he was definitely the lead of Mad Men, right? And the other guy who sort of does that is Brad Pitt, right? He does a lot of, funny kind of smaller roles and stuff.
Well, the only Oscar he's won is for supporting actor in
12 Monkeys.
No, he was nominated for that. He won for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
So let's also talk about like what the difference between a character actor is and a supporting actor. Okay, now this is a bit more nuanced, I think, right? And maybe up to interpretation or just what your opinion is. But I think I would say that a supporting actor can be anybody, right?
It's just a smaller role.
It's just a smaller role, or like a large, like a big actor can play them, like we were just talking about with Brad Pitt or whatever. And often can be like just like another role, just being part of that ensemble. Like I just watched Asteroid City, the Wes Anderson movie. It's just everybody's a big star in that. Yeah. Right. And
there's very few actors that I would call character actors at Asteroid City.
Yeah, but they're all except for like
maybe Jason Schwartzman.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah, but he's had his own TV show. He's had I think he
doesn't have that. Yeah.
I don't know. He's both maybe, and I think, but definitely Scarlett Johansson's the lead actor, and
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, and there's just a huge cast of people. Woody Allen used to do that too with his movies. You'd find fairly big stars, Michael Caine or whatever, in smaller roles because they want to be part of this ensemble cast, right? But I made this connection between, oftentimes in a movie, the character actor is a kind of type, right? Like, I find this a lot in comedies. Like, they'll bring the same group out, like the same few people who are always in those movies, and they always kind of play comic relief or whatever, right? It happens not only with that, but I think that's how we...
The Judd Apatow group of the kind of guys.
Yeah, and that goes back, right? But I mean, I think if you look at any genre, the wackier characters, like you think about Walter Brennan in Westerns, right? So if you think about old Westerns like the John Ford ones, right? And Howard Hawks ones, he always plays that same kind of old prospector type guy, grizzled with that
probably
voice,
missing teeth. And,
yeah, and
come on, Chance.
yeah, and there was a lot of those guys, like all the guys from. From It's a Wonderful Life, for example, like Uncle Billy, who was also Scarlett Johansson's father in Gone with the Wind, right? That actor.
Scarlett O'Hara's.
Too many Scarletts in one day.
Tom, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a Wonderful Life has so many. Gloria Graham,
yeah.
Who was a great... Gloria Graham, I don't know about character actor. I think
she was a character actor.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah. She always played a kind of a little bit of a
dangerous,
like
floozy type.
A floozy, kind of wrong side of the tracks gal, right? With that accent and stuff. I think she played that role quite a bit, like Big Heat, and even in It's a Wonderful Life.
She was in Melvin and Howard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we were little aside. We've been talking a lot about Melvin and Howard. It's one of my faves, and
and she had no dialogue.
Yeah, right.
It's very strange. I looked at her and was like, "Oh my God, that's Gloria Graham just standing there in the kitchen for no reason." Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, if I hope that makes some sense.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. The character actors are almost like they're almost hired because they are good at that, doing that type of thing, right? Yeah. Or they're whatever. So.
They need a Gloria Graham type, or they need a
or
Walter Brennan type, or they need
like an Eve Arden was the big if people remember, like Mildred Pierce or Adam's Rib.
Yep.
So Eve Arden always played that sort of sassy, sarcastic, biting, but friend of the lead woman, right? So not a beauty.
Which speaks to the idea that the character actor is playing an audience surrogate. So the friend of the lead actor is the person who's kind of like, the one who, like Tony Randall is Rock Hudson's friend in Pillow Talk, right?
And in all the Rock Hudson movies. Yeah, he was always that character who was always in advertising, and and was like was Tony Randall's friend in quotes, because it's really, I just rewatched Pillow Talk recently, and I love Pillow Talk.
I love it too.
I think it's so fucking great. Like, it's the best of that type of thing, and there's so many Easter egg moments of questioning Rock Hudson's sexuality, talking about being gay, and the Tony Randall character almost acts like a gay friend.
Yep.
Or like he's not a legitimate romantic
and the whole
foil,
the whole persona is like a beard in a way. It's like
exactly, yeah. So it's interesting how that
works. Shot where they're in the tub together, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We should do a whole show on the heterosexual union concept that is in all Hollywood movies. But yeah, so they pick these people. Jennifer Coolidge is another one who, after Legally Blonde,
and
American Pie, she became this kind of ditzy, hilarious, large woman, whatever, and did it to great, effect in.
And people are saying we need a Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh,
type.
for sure.
Yeah.
So sometimes those people can become giant stars just from playing those character roles. But for the majority of times, these are people that only psychos like you and me kind of like follow, right? But we thought let's just do a show where we talk about some of our favorite character actors and just kind of give them a little boost, the people that we love, and actually make movies so much better. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to read my list, and then we went through a huge giant list, which I'll post to our Facebook page if you want, so that everyone can see how crazy we are. And
they already know.
Do they though? I mean,
they should. They deserve to know.
They should know. I think the authorities should be told.
Alerted.
Yeah. Okay, so after making this gigantic list, which is really hard to, pare down, I came up with this list of people who I think are great examples of character actors and people that I've just enjoyed their performances over the years. So I'll start with Madeline Khan. So Madeline Khan, very famous from Mel Brooks movies, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles. Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Tired of playing the game.
I'm tired of playing the game. Ain't it a crying shame? I'm so tired. God damn it, I'm exhausted.
I mean, number one, she was very attractive. So she had this kind of like, she could play just a beautiful like woman, like in a serious movie, but she was also so funny. Like she could just inhabit a character like the Marlene Dietrich character she's playing, Lily, right?
Yeah.
This is like early 70s or mid, right? Like
73?
73. And she had this ability to use her sexuality because, she's quite attractive, but she used it in a very funny way, which is very
overblown.
Yeah, which is very progressive for a comedian.
Lousy,
so
kind of,
back then, like she was not filthy, but she was, sexual, right? And
in Young Frankenstein, when they're like going to bed together, and she's like,
yeah, exactly. And she gets like, obsessed with the monster because he has a big dick, basically, right? That's the whole joke, right? And how she's like super frigid with Gene Wilder, right? She's like, the taffeta, So I just loved her. I mean, I know that she sort of had a TV show for a while called Oh, Madeline. Wow. But she was in a lot. She was also in The Cheap Detective, which is a really funny movie, right? I don't think I ever saw her in a sort of serious role.
I can't think of. I mean, Paper Moon she's funny, but she's very touching too.
Yeah, she is.
She's kind of pathetic. Her character is. She's kind of gloms onto Ryan O'Neal, and but the little girl Tatum O'Neal will have none of it, and they just battle. They have a battle of wits throughout a particular sequence in the film.
Yeah, and she basically has to kind of like talk with the Tatum O'Neal Addie character and just sort of say, "Come on, just let me sit up front with my big kids." Yeah, she was great in Paper Moon. And Paper Moon is a great movie, by the way. But yeah, she's just one of my favorites. I just love Madeline Khan. And she sadly passed away when she was quite young, I think. Like, I can't remember what she died of, but I think she was, not super young, but I think she was in her 60s or maybe like 50s or something. Anyway, I loved her. My second choice was Ian Holm, who I think most people are going to know him from Lord of the Rings, right?
He's a hobbit.
He's a hobbit, exactly. He's
Bilbo, I think. Elijah Wood's uncle.
Exactly, yeah. So just from that alone, I think most people like who are like Ishmael's age or in their 20s, they're gonna know him from that, right? But he was such an incredible actor. He was in so many great things.
He was terrifying in Alien.
He was both. God. So he was in Alien as Ash, the robot, right? Who you don't know at first is a robot, but just cold and frightening, And
Sweet Hereafter, he's like that as well.
Sweet Hereafter, great performance. He was also in Brazil. One of my favorite performances of his because he's just so hilarious in that. Which is great. Like he always played a kind of similar character, whether it was a serious role or not, which was a kind of mousy, small guy with a kind of repressed or
a complex. He needs
exactly.
Find a way to, because in Lord of the Rings, he's kind of possessed by the ring a little bit. So he's only at the beginning of the film. But, he becomes a bit of a monster when, he has to give up the ring to Frodo.
Exactly,
and in Alien, of course, he's the robot, so he's the
he admires,
second class behind the humans, and then he goes apeshit.
Well, he's the one who admires the whole.
I admire it.
Yeah.
Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility.
You admire it.
I admire its purity. survivor. Unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality.
Look, I've heard enough of this, and I'm asking you to pull the plug.
Last word.
What?
I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies.
Yeah, so he's just great, and many different movies. I mean, going back to the early 70s when he was in The Pinter, The Homecoming.
The Homecoming. Oh,
which
that's
is
a scary movie.
Which is really scary, very disturbing, and he's great. So I mean, this was a RADA actor, right? A Royal Shakespeare actor who could hold his own with any of the big actors of that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was in one movie that I think is less popular or less well known, but where he played Lewis Carroll, called Dream Child. And it's pretty good, and his performance is really good. It's really like it's that kind of nervous British kind of guy, right?
Yeah, write that down.
Yeah, which is a movie that just sort of disappeared, but it was quite good because it really dealt with him, with Lewis Carroll and all of his issues. Anyway, so that's my second. My third is Harry Dean Stanton. Everybody knows Harry Dean Stanton. He's just one of those amazing. Whenever you would see a movie with him, you would see a movie with Harry Dean Stanton was in it, and you would just get excited, because you knew whenever he was on screen, there was going to be something like, he could somehow, I don't know how, but he was able to, he had this kind of alcoholic look, this kind of rundown, almost a straw man, like kind of feeling to him, like a
1930s riding the rails,
hobo feel. Yeah. I would say probably my all-time favorite with him in it is Repo Man. And he's just so hilarious in that movie and likable, right?
What's his line? I hate fucking people.
Yeah. Repo Man don't carry a gun. You have to be only an asshole dies for a car or whatever. And he does the whole credo of the Repo Man, which is amazing.
Are you?
What?
Packing something.
An asshole gets killed for a car. Guys that make it are the guys that get in their cars at any time. Get in at 3 a.m., get up at 4. That's why there ain't a repo man I know that don't take speed.
Speed, huh? I never broke into a trunk. I shall not cause harm to any vehicle, nor the personal contents thereof, nor through inaction let that vehicle or the personal contents thereof come to harm. It's what I call the repo code, kid. Don't forget it. Etch it in your brain. Not many people got a code to live by anymore. Hey, look at that. Look at those assholes over there. Ordinary fucking people. I hate them. Me too.
I really suggest that people rewatch Repo Man because it is a brilliant film. Brilliant. But a mainstay of David Lynch movies, Harry Dean Stanton. He was also
as well.
He's in Alien as well, and he's in a brilliant movie where he's the lead, but it's still a kind of a character part, which is Paris, Texas, right? Which I think was his finest performance. He's largely quiet for most of that movie, but it's just such an affecting performance in a beautiful film. So I love Harry Dean. Harry Dean is just amazing.
Yeah.
Who else? We also have my list, Steve Buscemi. Now, Steve Buscemi is one of those guys where I was not quite sure whether he was, because he carried a whole...
Everybody knows Steve Buscemi.
And he carried a whole series, right? Boardwalk Empire, pretty much. But I will argue that he's in the character actor
very specific type.
Yeah, even if he's the lead.
The fabric,
yeah.
It's not a star performance.
No, and like just think about his wonderful, turn in like Billy Madison, for example, right? Or in Con Air.
He can be very funny.
Yeah.
And he's great in Con Air. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's hilarious in Con Air and very affecting because he's like
so creepy.
Yeah, he's creepy. And of course on 30 Rock again, hey fellow kids.
So you got mugged, huh, Mr. Donaghy? And you caught the guy who did it. Good for you.
Oh, no, Len. Tracy is helping me with this. But I can see how you went there. I have a criminal skull shape. Len, Commissioner Kelly and I are friends. We have competing columns in Irish Arguments Weekly, America's Only, All Caps magazine. But Ray hasn't returned my phone call, and I know that you were once a police officer.
I was part of a special task force of very young-looking cops who infiltrated high schools. How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Well, I would say Sopranos.
Sopranos,
And
yeah.
he directed some of the finest episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing him for the first time in a movie called Five Corners, which was also with John Turturro. It was the first time I'd ever seen Steve Buscemi, and he immediately caught my attention.
Yeah.
Just like very strange face and, very high energy, right? And also a real great person in real life, too.
Yeah.
Like just what he's done with the firefighters, because he used to be one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
My next one is of course, Jennifer Coolidge, who we talked a little bit about. And just like, what's amazing about her is she took a role like Legally Blonde, which just seemed like a thankless throwaway, kind of like the manicurist, whatever. And she completely stole that movie. Like everybody talked about her, right?
It's the same with American Pie. Everybody says like Stifler's mom. It's all about Stifler's mom.
Exactly. Yeah. Stifler's mom, exactly. So, she, and most recently with White Lotus, I mean, she was just
dominated it.
Yeah. These are some high class gays.
Trying to kill me.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to throw me off the boat. They're going to do Greg's dirty work for him because he's going to pay them with my money so they can decorate their houses or some shit. I may be paranoid. I need you to drive me in the boat. Drive the boat to the shore. Please, these gays. They're trying to murder me.
Yeah, she's just memeable, highly memeable.
I recently rewatched Best in Show, and
she's great in that too.
Very subtle. She's very subtly funny in that movie.
Yeah, she's a good actor too. So you can be very affected by her. Like that's what I'm saying. Those kind of actors are both good at comedy and serious stuff, and you go, wow, shit, like these are actually very strong actors. They can disappear into, even though they're themselves.
If you look at a lot of the actors we're talking about today, they cross that line. So leading actors tend to be primarily more dramatic or more comedic.
Right.
Like Tom Cruise is not going to be a lead in a big, broad comedy.
Right.
Although he was funny in Tropic Thunder, but that doesn't count.
But that was him playing at a character actor thing. Yeah.
But the great character actors, they can do everything.
I know, and they should be more famous. Well, I guess Jennifer Coolidge is pretty famous.
She's famous now for one show.
Yeah, but she was around for like 30 years, right?
She's talked about how after Legally Blonde and American Pie, I mean, she was, kind of big. She made jokes about how after American Pie, she had sex with hundreds of guys for the next year or two, and but she kind of dropped off the radar a little bit.
Right, because how do we? It's always the kind of the lack of creativity that people have, which is why, for example, people were so responsive to somebody like Tarantino putting John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, because that was it's like rescuing these great actors from this oblivion of typecasting, right? And I think it was true with her too, and it happens to everybody where they go, well, that's not, I don't really see that person in this role, but you're not giving these actors enough latitude to kind of shift out, right?
When she won her Emmy, she was so grateful to Mike White, who's an incredible filmmaker.
I love Mike White, yeah,
and he's of course the creator of The White Lotus.
Yeah, great. I would say even more a fantastic writer.
Yeah,
like he could be a novelist, right? his characters, whatever, and his movies. Like, I was a big fan of Year of the Dog when it came out. Nobody cared about it, but it was a really well written like movie.
Chuck and Buck.
Yeah, Chuck and Buck is great.
The School of Rock.
School of Rock is my least favorite of his,
I
but
love School of Rock.
yeah, it's
it.
overrated. But but that show he did with Laura Dern, Enlightened or whatever.
I don't know.
Oh, that was amazing. It was way too dark, though. I knew it wasn't going to last. Dark in a funny way. Anyway, speaking, and he's also kind of a character actor, Mike White.
Yeah.
The next one I have, we've people who know movies quite well will know this guy. It's John Cazale. John Cazale died very young. He had cancer. He died in the 70s. And if you just think about the movies that he was in, Dog Day Afternoon, both Godfather movies,
The
Deer Hunter, and I think that's it, right?
That's all I can think of. And so, if you're played supporting roles in 4 of like the greatest movies of all time,
He's Fredo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Fredo is iconic.
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want the stakes.
Right? You know what I mean?
But he was that type of character actor. Like, think about Fredo is the anchor of The Godfather Part 2. He is the most important character.
Yeah, he's kind of like...
maybe Michael, but, I mean, because it's all about...
His betrayal,
his betrayal and death.
And his, also, the cruelty of the code of the family that, he's going to kill him. Like, there's just nothing he can do, even though he kind of makes him believe, that he's okay with him, and just the lying and betrayal.
The fishing trip.
Yeah.
He knows he's gonna die. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
But he goes anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just he was great.
And Hail Mary.
Yeah, and he was so great. I would say his best performance is actually Dog Day Afternoon, though. Yeah. He plays the character Sal. Very, very, very lovable, kind of shaggy dog kind of character. Kind of following along with his friend there, right? Yeah. But you feel for him, and even one of the hostages, says, "This is for you, Sal, because I know you're afraid to fly." Oh
wow.
Near the end when they're So there's he was just such a lovable character, even though he's crazy in that movie, right? Anyway, just he was also romantically involved with Meryl Streep, and
they were
at the time that he died. They were together, right? So
they were very, very involved, and she was with him when he died in the hospital.
So just a really fascinating character actor who was in all these amazing movies.
Yeah.
My next one is Wallace Shawn. Now, Wallace Shawn, everybody would know from
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, exactly.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, inconceivable.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable. You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Now, here's the interesting thing about Wallace Shawn. Like, he was, he's been in lots of smaller parts. Like, he was in Woody Allen's Manhattan, where he plays the homunculus, right? And Princess Bride he was in. He's been in Star Trek, he played the,
he's one of those people you go, oh, that's that guy.
Yeah. And he seems like a really goofy, silly guy, but he's actually a super talented playwright. Mm-hmm. And one of his most famous plays was made into a movie by Louis Malle called My Dinner with Andre. And I also saw one of his plays performed here in Toronto a few years ago called The Fever, which is, he's just a fantastic writer. So he's kind of like this kind of, he reminds me a little bit of those kind of actors like Spalding Gray was kind of like this too. And Eric Bogosian and stuff like that. They're all character actors in movies, but they have this side hustle or this real job where they're kind of performance artists and writers.
Yeah, I can think of a couple like that too. Jason Miller, who played Father Karras in
he's a playwright.
The Exorcist.
Too. Yeah.
He's a playwright. And there's another actor who's amazing in The Godfather Part 2. And I have to look him up. He got an Oscar nomination for it. Lee Strasberg.
Lee Strasberg, yeah. He was an acting teacher at Lee Strasberg.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael V. Gazzo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He, if you watch The Godfather Part 2 again, he's the one who talks like this a lot. Oh, yeah. You know,
Right.
it's like, you know, back then the Romans, you know, they would, we'd talk, anyway.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Cut that out. Cut that part out.
I'm gonna repeat it on loop.
Yeah. Anyway, he's great in it, and he was a big playwright.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, so there is, but especially in this New York coterie of like, you know, performance artists, one man show kind of guys, and playwrights. But Wallace Shawn more than anybody, because his father, what was his name? He was also a W. William Shawn. I think it's William Shawn. Yep. So Wallace Shawn's father was William Shawn, who was the famous editor of the New Yorker, right, from like the 50s onwards. Wow. And just like launched so many great writers' careers, and worked with like Salinger and Nabokov and all those people, right? So, and Hannah Arendt and stuff like that, right? So he comes from this very literary family, and but yet so it's a fascinating thing too, where the character actor is kind of known in a public way as one thing, but it's not who they really are, right? Like, and I love that aspect of his career.
Well, one that's known today is Tracy Letts. So Tracy Letts is a Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, August Osage County, and he's also in a billion movies.
Yeah, I think there's a few people who try to do that too. Like I know
he's great.
I haven't seen anything that he's written though.
I've seen the play August Osage County on stage.
Oh, okay.
But I think that's all I've seen. But of course, he's in tons of movies.
Yeah, like I mean, I've the only other thing I've is Sam Shepard was also like an actor and a great playwright, and he was in movies as a romantic lead like Baby Boom, right, which I love. Nancy Meyers movie. Can't help it. But yeah, I mean, I always found that fascinating. When I saw My Dinner with Andre, I was like, oh, that guy. And then I was like, oh shit, he wrote this? It just became this kind of like, holy crap.
I'm so ashamed.
Yeah.
I've never seen My Dinner with Andre.
What the fuck is wrong with you,
man? I know. It's a big gap.
Oh my God.
It's a big gap.
I don't know if I can continue at this point.
Please. This was the best day of my life.
Okay, then please promise you'll watch it before we get together next time.
I promise.
And my last one on my list is Jason Robards.
Oh, yeah.
And people will know Jason Robards, I think, from All the President's Men, maybe? Or he was in something recently.
Well, I think his last movie might have been Magnolia.
Oh,
yes. The Old Man Dying.
He plays the old man dying.
Is it Tom Cruise's father? Or I can't remember.
Yes, exactly. Tom Cruise's father.
But he's probably best known for playing Ben Bradley, the editor of the Washington Post. And
in All the President's Men, which is a great movie. Everybody should watch that movie. So good. But he was also in one of my favorites of the 70s, again, sort of forgotten one called Julia, where he plays Dashiell Hammett, because it's about the writer Lillian Hellman and her friend Julia. And Lillian Hellman was married to Dashiell Hammett, and he was great in that. But he was also, he was just one of those guys, whenever he's in anything, he's great, right?
Like Melvin and Howard, he played Howard Hughes. Yeah. And he's got like basically one scene.
He's got basically one scene, and you remember
his shadow is over the whole film.
It's the way he sings that Bye Bye Blackbird. It's so great.
Come on, let's hear one of yours.
I don't know any songs. My father was a singer in the family. I played the saxophone.
Well, I mean, don't you know any song?
Bye Bye Blackbird.
There you go. Oh, sorry. Lay it on me, old timer.
Pack up all my cares and woe. Here I go, singing low. Bye bye, blackbird.
one of my favorites. Well, he was in the what do you call that? Long Day's Journey into Night, which is the Eugene O'Neill play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and with Katharine Hepburn.
With Katharine Hepburn and Dean Stockwell, another great
Exactly,
actor.
another great character actor. And he was, I think that was one of his first performances where he was kind of...
It's a shattering film.
Yeah, and he's also in, like, you know, Once Upon a Time in the West, which is a great movie. And he plays kind of like a
so good
scary guy in that, right? Yeah, he was in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
He was the horrible boss who fires Tom Hanks.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just been in
he's
like
very good in Magnolia, which is kind of a
he's very good in
film, but he was quite good in it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's another great one with him in it. Oh, it's Quick Change. It was Quick Change. He's great in Quick Change. Yeah, which is a kind of an underrated movie too.
Yeah,
it's not great, but it's really fun.
Yeah.
That's the one with Bill Murray where he's dressed up as a clown.
He directed it.
And he directed it, yeah. And Jason Robards plays the cop, right? So anyway, that's my list. There's billions more.
Oh yeah.
I just was going through like, you know, who I really who stood out for me. Now let's go through your list.
Oh, I'd love to. Okay. Looking at so here's my 10. Top is Shelley Winters.
Okay, so
Shelley Winters.
Does anybody know who that is besides us?
Crickets.
Yeah.
She was a great character actor.
She was
in the 40s, 50s, and she's probably best known for her great performance in The Poseidon Adventure.
Exactly.
Which is all over the top, and she's super over the top.
Yeah, she's a scenery chewer.
You can ask anybody, Mr. Martin, in the Women's Swimming Association. Just because I put on a little weight lately doesn't mean that I couldn't once be an athlete. What time now?
39 seconds.
What the hell does she think she's doing?
Let her go. She knows what she's doing.
You see, Mr. Scott, in the water, I'm a very skinny lady. I guess I'm not the champion of the Women's Swimming Association anymore.
Hold on, Mrs. Rosen. Just hold on.
Mr. Scott, enough is enough.
And I think the highlight for her is Charles Laughton's film, The Night of the Hunter.
So great, yeah.
Where she is such a sad, lonely figure who's taken advantage of and then murdered by Robert Mitchum's psychotic preacher. And Shelley Winters is in so many films, but I would say she manages to be more than just one type of character in most of the films that she does.
I think
she's often very brassy. She's often very demonstrative.
I always find that
but Night of the Hunter, she's quieter.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of the role she was known for more, where kind of like sort of sad. Mm-hmm. Older.
That's right, Lolita.
Yeah,
Stanley Kubrick's
exactly.
Lolita.
Where she always gets
Similar
killed,
part, yeah.
And also in Place in the Sun, where she gets murdered by.
Oh my God! Yeah.
by Montgomery Clift, and she's always that kind of a little sad, pathetic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she played that well because she had that kind of.
Yeah, she was good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. No, she is great. And I don't know the whole story that well, but apparently, she was asked to later in her career. She was asked to audition for a role, which pissed her off. So she showed up at the audition and looked at the director or the producer and said, "Here's my audition." And she had one of each of her Oscars in her hand and said, "Fuck you."
Makes sense.
So
what did she win Oscars for? She won for Place in the Sun?
This is where I say hold please. She
Hold it,
won.
please.
I think she won for Poseidon Adventure. Really?
Because she was like, she really made that swim.
But maybe those two. No, she won for The Diary of Anne Frank.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
Diary of Anne Frank. She is very good in it. It doesn't strike me. It's not a great movie.
Right.
But if you're a younger person and want an introduction to the Anne Frank story, it's fine. It's great.
Right.
And A Patch of Blue. Which
Oh,
I'm not too
yeah,
familiar
right.
with. You know that one?
Yeah, Patch of Blue is with Sidney Poitier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was nominated for A Place in the Sun and The Poseidon Adventure.
I give her my award for The Poseidon
Right,
Adventure.
me too. I give it all of them. Ernest Borgnine, Gene Hackman. Just give them all the awards.
Yeah, Jack Albertson.
Oh my god.
Because he's the one who goes, Bo! Bo! Yeah.
Next on my list, we have... everyone knows this guy, Alan Arkin.
He just passed away.
Recently passed away.
Sad. Yeah.
This is a character actor who... one of those... I know that guy. You've seen this guy and everything. And he always plays a very kind of witty, acerbic, cranky, kind of misanthropic. If you remember, he was the really kind of skeezy grandfather in Little Miss Sunshine. He was known for that.
Yeah.
He was...
he was also the dad, I think, in Edward Scissorhands, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he's like when when Johnny Depp comes down to what's her name's
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder's family and stays with him. It's he's like that kind of like, hey Ed, how's it going? Like he's like the regular the 50s guy. Yeah.
But another movie that has a plethora of character actors was Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yep.
Which also had a lot of lead actors in supporting roles that was really strong.
It was an ensemble cast, yeah.
Kevin Spacey, Alec Baldwin, Al Pacino was probably the main guy.
Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon. Oh, Jack Lemmon.
So good. What's that guy's name?
Jonathan Pryce.
Who played Jackson Pollock?
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris, yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was always recognizable. He did a lot of indie films and a lot of big studio pictures like Argo. He's really good. Not a great movie, but he plays the movie director who's just full of one-liners that are great. Once in a while he did a lead role, but not often. He was very affecting in the 60s in an adaptation of Carson McCullers' The Heart is a Lonely Hunter.
Right.
It was a beautiful film and a beautiful performance. So he always great.
Yeah, he was great.
Sad loss, but
yeah, he was great. A few of my favorites from him are he played Freud in The 7% Solution, which is it's okay as a movie. Like it's just like one of these fantasies where Sherlock Holmes, because the whole thing was that Sherlock Holmes was a cocaine addict, so he Watson, who's played by Robert Duvall. In this movie, this movie is from like 76. Yeah,
sounds right.
Basically, it's like Sherlock Holmes gets treated by Sigmund Freud, right? But then it turns into a caper, at the end, right? But his performance as Freud was quite good, right? Like it was subtle. And of course, he's in The In-Laws, which is a hilarious movie with Peter Falk.
I'm surprised he wasn't in any Cassavetes, really. He seems like a very Cassavetes type from the 70s. You know what I mean? Like he would have been right at home in like Husbands or.
No? I don't know. It's a good point. I thought about that too because he does seem to come out of that same kind of group of guys, but
same kind of feel.
But he didn't have the kind of what's different about him as opposed to even Peter Falk a little bit is Peter Falk could be a guy's guy type of actor,
right?
Whereas I think Alan Arkin was always. Like he never quite fit that masculine kind of tough guy thing. He was always neurotic or kind of.
You're right. Cassavetes undermined the male.
He did by showing it very ugly.
So his actors were always like that, whereas Arkin is not.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Arkin is a little bit more like relatable, a little bit more soft, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so that one I really loved, and then of course one that nobody's seen but me, but I love it. It's like the Natasha Lyonne when she was like a teenager. I think it's her first movie called Slums of Beverly Hills, and I really recommend.
It's got a big cult following.
It does it? Okay, I didn't know that, but I remember seeing it when it came out, and I loved it then, and then it's just sort of like didn't do great. But Alan Arkin is great because he's like the single father with these. The kids, and he's like this kind of bummy con man type guy, and they're always moving from like apartment to apartment and stuff like that, right? So it's a really fun movie and really good. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So And you all know him. So another one on my list. This next person is she's more known for television. She's been in a bunch of movies. You've seen her in tons of movies. Margot Martindale.
Yeah, she's great.
Who is so great. And she was, as a character actor, she's great playing these matriarchal type figures who are kind of menacing sometimes. The two big roles for her that I think of are Justified, where she played she runs a little organized crime ring in Kentucky.
Right.
And one of her signature move to dispatch of her rivals and enemies is a poison apple cider thing that, and then her final scene is she realizes she's caught, and Timothy Oliphant's got the number on her, and so he gives her the drink, and he knows he's gonna die, but then she drinks hers and says, "Mine was the one poisoned."
Oh, it's great. The old poison mix-up, yeah.
The old bait and switch.
Yeah.
But her other great role, similar, was The Americans. Where
she was so good in The Americans.
She played this KGB operative and one of my favorite episodes of what is an incredible show was when they capture the married couple, Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys, and then they torture them to try to test them to see if they would ever switch sides.
Yeah.
And when Rhys and Russell realize they beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
It's great.
And there's also that part where she just stabs the guy in the neck. It stabs the person in the neck and just watches them as they die.
So
right?
cold.
Yeah.
She could be so cold. Same with Justified.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's been in a lot of movies. She was Hilary Swank's mother. Really awful person in $1 Million Baby. She's in so much stuff, and she's great. I mean, I think she's an Emmy winner, and
she's one of those people totally who's been in like 100 things.
Yeah.
And she's kind of made herself a known, presence. I think she's been around for quite a while, like since the 80s, right?
Oh yeah, and one of those rare actresses like Shelley Winters, I guess, who still kept a strong career going as they got older.
Yeah.
You know how Hollywood treats women after a certain age, but they've managed to find their niche, play that part well, and if they need a Margot Martindale type, she's there.
Yeah,
it's great.
I'm just looking at her filmography right now. She was in quite a few really good movies, probably small parts, but like she's in Ride with the Devil, which is an Ang Lee movie, which is really good. She's in $1 Million Baby, like you said. I don't like it, but you do.
It's a great movie. Dum Dum.
No. It's not a great movie. It's not. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Well, and she was in Dexter, I think, and a few other shows and stuff like that.
I've never saw Dexter, but it's huge. So
yeah, I only watched a few seasons. It got a little bit tired, the premise, after a while, but it was quite good the first couple of seasons.
Next on my list is one of those like screwball comedy actors from the Preston Sturges days, William Demarest, who is always the hard-edged, irascible one-liners. Just
Yeah, you just can't find
he's like
a guy like that
the
anymore.
Thorny guy in your side.
He's like a guy you were in the army with or something. Like
he was in the army. Everybody.
Oh,
back
for
then
sure,
was.
Everybody back then was, but.
Yeah.
But he was also well known because he was on that TV show My Three Sons. Yeah, and that's how I knew him when I was a kid, because I used to watch that show. But yeah, I think me and you both, we have a favorite performance of his, probably in a movie that we both share as being one of our favorites.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
The Lady Eve with Henry Fonda.
That's right. And
I knew it. It's the same dame.
Definitely the same dame. Yeah.
Positively the same dame.
He plays Henry Fonda's buddy, who is positive that he's being hoodwinked by Barbara Stanwyck throughout the entire movie.
And he is.
And he is, of course. Watch every Preston Sturges movie you can get your fingers on.
Yes.
Another great writer. Next on my list is a favorite. Oh, I love this guy. Ben Gazzara. Ben Gazzara was
Yeah, you
you've
were speaking
seen-
about John Cassavetes
Yeah.
a while ago. He was in a lot of Cassavetes
He's in a lot
movies,
of Cassavetes. He is the guy who, if you watch any 70s, early 80s movies, you're going to run into Ben Gazzara. The one key movie of his I still haven't seen is St. Jack, the Bogdanovich film.
It's great.
Which Azed punches me every time I try
I'm going to
remind
punch you
him
right now.
that I haven't seen it.
Oh, ouch. Sound effects. Stop it.
So he's great in a supporting part in Anatomy of a Murder, which was
Right.
Jimmy Stewart plays a lawyer, and
Otto Preminger movie.
yeah, he's defending Gazzara, and who killed somebody who was hitting on his wife or something or whatever.
Yeah, and Gazzara was an interesting guy because he was also kind of on TV a lot for a while. So was Cassavetes, so was Falk, right?
Yeah.
Like Falk was Columbo, and I think both of those guys were on Columbo episodes, right?
Probably.
And they were kind of trying to make money to make their independent films, right? That's
Yeah.
what Cassavetes would take acting jobs,
Yeah.
whatever. And Gazzara was kind of like, yeah, like he wasn't like a very, it wasn't really a leading man type, but
He wasn't, except he was the leading man in The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, which is a notorious Cassavetes film because he had recut it after it bombed and re-released it. And Gazzara plays the super slimy strip club owner who gets mixed up with the mob.
Right.
He owes money for gambling, and then they say, well, instead of paying us back, why don't you kill this guy?
people, people will know him because he has a small part in The Big Lebowski.
People forget that the brain is the biggest erogenous zone.
On you, maybe.
Of course, you have to take the good with the bad. New technology permits us to do very exciting things in interactive, erotic software. Wave of the future, dude. 100% electronic.
Well, I still jerk off manually.
He's the Jackie Treehorn guy, right?
Yeah.
Who draws the penis, right?
He's always sort of a bit of a macho guy, but really troubled. Really, there's something going on.
A little creepy.
Creepy, and
yeah, he was very intense. Most of the time. He was
Buffalo
also
66. He was.
Yeah, he was also the dad in
that,
Buffalo 66, which is great. I mean, definitely, I would say one of his best performances was Saint Jack, because that's a character that is like one of these guys. Like, it all takes place in Thailand, right? And he's sort of like this expat, and he's just like everybody knows him, and he's the connector, and he's like knows all the criminals and knows all the drug dealers and the prostitutes, and he sets people up and whatever, right? So he's kind of like a well-known guy in the area, and so he plays a really likable character, right? Usually he was a bit more like scary, or weird and intense. But yeah, he was great. He was definitely great.
This is an actor who's pretty busy these days, Fred Melamed. You might have seen him in the last season of Barry.
Oh.
Where he's hilarious. He plays Henry Winkler's lawyer,
right,
trying to help him navigate a book deal.
He tends to get parts as Hollywood agents. Sometimes,
Hollywood agents, lawyers,
yeah,
who are up to something. And
yeah,
he is hilarious.
Yeah.
He came out most prominent. He was in a lot of films. He did a lot of Woody Allen movies back in the day. He's in Hannah and Her Sisters, but I think it was A Simple Man, the Coen Brothers movie, where he plays the guy, his wife, Michael Stuhlbarg's character.
And he's like always calming him down. Like, hey, just calm down.
Yeah. Be his buddy while he's banging his wife.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Barry. I mean, he's, plays, hilarious, really broad strokes Jewish characters who are usually trying to manipulate everybody around them.
Yeah, but always have this kind of front of being like super kind and very approachable and like everything's fine, everything's good, I remember him from, I'm the only one who talks about this show, but I loved it, which was the Maria Bamford show called Lady Dynamite. I love Maria Bamford. I think she's a brilliant.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And he played her agent, like because it's really kind of like about her, right, and her career. Because she, you know her. She's the one who, she has bipolar disorder, and she talks about like that's her whole act is like a lot about mental health issues, but she does those voices like where she does that, she does that great, that kind of like professional woman voice, like
I have to look. This is Netflix, right?
Yeah, Lady Dynamite.
Okay.
It gets really fucked up in the second season, like because it's sort of like from her perspective, so it jumps around a bit, right? But that's what I loved about it. Anyway, he's hilarious in it, right?
Maria, have I ever begged you to do anything before?
Yes.
Well, speaking of me and my knees, I gotta get out of that dorm room. Since Barbara kicked me out, I've been living in a dorm room. The gentlemen of Meta Beta are anything but gentle. They call me Shower Bear. They pass me around. One time, I came back from my room to find a full human shit inside my Mets hat. Put it on, they said. Tears weren't the only thing running down my face that day.
Yeah, he's just one of those. He is your quintessential character actor.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine people saying, "Oh, we got to get a Fred Malamud type or get him." You know,
you've also if you have. Oh, and by the way, folks, if you haven't seen Barry, watch Barry.
Yeah, Barry is amazing. Another great somebody we talked about from that show was Stephen Root. Right?
Yeah,
he's just amazing.
Yeah, Stephen Root is. Quick aside on Stephen Root. I mean, he is an. I guess it was The Office that made everybody.
I don't know where.
The Office. Not The Office, sorry. Office Space.
Oh, yeah, where you played the...
looking for a stapler.
I'm going to burn the office down. Yeah.
But
I think that's where he kind of, got very well known. But he's been in a lot of things. He's one of those guys everybody knows.
Usually comedies, mostly, where he plays like sort of this pathetic schmuck trying to like... just survive. But then he played a very creepy role in Get Out, where he played the blind art dealer who wants,
right. Totally forgot about that.
His eyes. And then in Barry, he starts off very funny. He plays Bill Hader's handler, but then he becomes this like organized crime figure who's pretty terrifying.
Right. The Monroe character, right.
Yeah. Next on my list is Terri Garr.
So
Terri Garr, she wasn't in much lately.
I think she got multiple sclerosis a few years ago. Like I think she basically had to retire like 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, but you will remember her from Young Frankenstein, playing the sort of buxom lab assistant.
Right.
The boy, what knockers?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she had.
And she was in like Mr. Mom. She was always the wife, like Mr. Mom. She was in Close Encounters as the wife.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. But she's always kind of like a long-suffering, dealing with the men in her life who are driving her crazy.
Yeah.
Tootsie is a good one there. She's fantastic in Tootsie, and
she's great.
She plays Dustin Hoffman's friend who, starts to suspect there's something strange going on.
Yeah, it's very
Dorothy Michael's character.
Very needy character, he's like always leaving her in the lurch, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Who was that fat girl who came out of your apartment?" She's talking about him, right?
Right.
And she also played, I think people would know her from, she played Phoebe's mom, I think, on Friends, right? Was she Phoebe's mom, or she was somebody on Friends?
I don't know.
And she was
in After Hours.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite performances by her. She's the plaster of Paris bagel and cream cheese woman, and she has all those mouse traps around her bed in a perfect semicircle, right?
This is a plaster of Paris bagel and cream cheese paperweight. I bought it from a local artist, Kiki Bridges. Did you ever hear of her?
Julie, I promised I would come back, and I did. Now, I really do have to go. I gotta sleep. You understand that, don't you? And I promise I'm gonna see you again. I will. Okay? You all right?
Why do you keep asking me that, huh? What's with you? Are you nuts or something?
A hilarious character, very sort of subtly crazy, right?
Yeah.
Terri Garr,
she was great.
Yeah,
she was wonderful. She, Next on my list is Cloris Leachman.
Oh, great.
So, I mean, also in Young Frankenstein, as Frau Braugher.
One of the best performances ever. Yeah.
So side note, everyone knows that. I mean, Young Frankenstein as Frau Braugher was hilarious.
Yeah,
and
she was in a few Mel Brooks, I think, or at least a couple.
She in High Anxiety?
She's in High Anxiety. She plays that nurse with the mole and the giant boobs, right? Yeah.
But yeah, so when they wrote the script for Young Frankenstein, they thought that Braugher or whatever was German for glue, which it's not. I don't think it's German for anything. And so when you say her name and the horse is Winnie, you know, the joke was supposed to be that they heard the word glue, like glue factory, right? But of course, it doesn't translate in the film. It feels like it's more like she's, you know, touching the horses.
Yeah, she's doing something with those horses for sure.
But she was great. She did mostly comedy, I think, but she would go back and forth with drama. And she won the Oscar for The Last Picture Show from 1971.
Beautiful performance by her, yeah.
Sad performance where she's an unhappily married woman who has an affair with a younger...
With Timothy Bottoms, yeah.
Timothy Bottoms. And it's so touching. And when the scene where their relationship ends and he leaves her, it's just devastating.
Yeah.
But she had a long career. I mean, probably the best known for playing Phyllis on Mary Tyler Moore's show, which she's hilarious.
Yeah, she was great as Phyllis.
She's so great. She got her own spin-off.
Yep.
And then right up into, you know, the 2000s with Spanglish. She played Tia Leone's mom. She's very funny. Who's an alcoholic and just, yeah.
One of my favorite small things she did was in Bad Santa, where she plays the grandmother who's always sleeping, and every time she wakes up, she says, "I'll make you some sandwiches." And then he goes, "What the fuck is with you people and sandwiches?"
Santa's here.
Oh, but you're home.
Are you spry?
Let me fix you some sandwiches.
I don't want any fucking sandwiches. What is it with you fixing fucking sandwiches?
Yeah, she was just one of those. I think she was like kind of like a theater actor, a New York theater actor, did lots of theater and stuff, and then was really known for Mary Tyler Moore and stuff. And then only later did I come to see her as like she was in so many different things, right?
And she was like a beauty queen, I think, in the 60s, and she was a chameleon. Like, she's one of those character actors who
she
could play all sorts of different kinds of roles. You know, you've got the character actors who, because you want that type of person. You know, you want a Margot Martindale type, or you know, you want, you know, a Fred Melamed type. But she could play anything. Yeah,
she was. She wasn't afraid to be like totally like ugly, and like in both Young Frankenstein and High Anxiety. And High Anxiety is like a lesser known, I think, Mel Brooks, but it's sort of a Hitchcock parody, and like her role in that is hilarious. It all takes place in the, you know, it's like Suspicion, where they all takes place in a mental institution, right?
I saw when I was a kid. I don't think I've seen it.
Oh,
since.
It's very funny. It's very funny. There's a really funny parody like of the shower scene from Psycho.
I remember that. Do
Where,
you remember Silent Movie? That was a
yes,
weird one.
I do remember Silent Movie.
That was a weird one.
That one didn't quite work for me, but yeah,
it was the decline.
We could do a Mel Brooks episode, maybe.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah,
let's get him on the show.
Right.
And finally, I think my last actor is Andre Braugher. Andre Braugher, you'll know him best, of course, as Captain Holt on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where he is
great character,
the MVP of that show. I mean, it's a lot of great actors are very funny, and his play-by-play with Andy Samberg is just always hilarious.
Yeah,
but he had a long career going back to the 80s. On television, he was on Homicide, which was a big hit, and he was in the film Glory with Denzel Washington. He often played sort of a very strong, proud African-American character who was, you know, really supporting sort of the main characters in the film.
Right.
or TV show, but he's become like his own, like a much bigger star thanks to Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah,
and he's hilarious. His deadpan is flawless.
It's become almost like a kind of cultural icon kind of character, right? Just that kind of like, I am smiling, that, right?
I am not a robot.
Yeah, he's very, very funny in that.
Will be done by Deputy Chief Brandt. We have a good rapport. He was once my captain.
So he's kind of like our grand captain.
That is amazingly funny.
You all right, Captain? Tough weekend?
I went to Barbados with my husband. We wove hats out of palm fronds and swam with the stingrays. I've never been happier.
Guy's impossible to read. Don't even try.
That is without question the funniest story I've ever heard.
Just that kind of like, I am smiling, that, right?
I am not a robot.
Yeah, he's very, very funny in that show. And I remember when I first saw Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I was like, oh, that guy from Glory. So he was memorable, you know, even from that movie, way back when, right?
Problematic movie, for sure.
Okay, I don't know why it's problematic.
It's the African-American stereotypes in each character.
Is that so?
And the sort of the white savior thing.
Anyway,
whatever.
I mean,
that's my opinion.
Yeah,
it's a well-made movie. It's got some stirring scenes and great performances.
Oh, it's just, I don't know. That's a hard sell.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Right. Yeah, just shut up. And those are yours, right? Those are your 10?
Yeah. Oh, and one more. There's a scene in She Said, which is the movie about the two female reporters who uncover the Harvey Weinstein scandal.
Right.
And Braugher plays their editor, and there's a scene near the end where he's on the phone with Weinstein and totally dressing him down. That's priceless. Yeah.
Okay.
Always good.
Well, that's our list of our favorite, or some of our favorite character actors. I'll just quickly go through some performances that I think are great examples of character actors that kind of stole the show. We already talked about Jennifer Coolidge in Legally Blonde. I would also say Martin Landau, who in Ed Wood, he played Bela Lugosi. He was also a TV guy. I think he's originally started in that show, The Mission Impossible, which became the movie franchise later, but it was originally a TV show. And he was also on this Star Trek ripoff show called Space 1999. So he was kind of known as a kind of almost a second-rate TV guy,
but
right?
he had this great role in North by Northwest.
He did.
Played one of the henchmen of James Mason's trying to get Cary Grant. But there's a really cool scene at James Mason's house later on that has so much gay subtext between. It's like really wild.
Yeah, and he's
great.
He has that kind of creepy, piercing eyes and stuff, right? He was also in Woody Allen's the one with Angelica Houston. Remember what was that one called? Something Crimes and Misdemeanors. Yeah.
It's one of his.
So yeah, films. he was really good in that as well. But this performance in Ed Wood of Bela Lugosi is great.
You know which movie of yours I love, Mr. Lugosi? The Invisible Ray. You were great as Karloff's sidekick.
Karloff? Sidekick? Fuck you! Karloff does not deserve to smell my shit! That limey cocksucker can rot in hell for all I care!
What happened?
How dare that asshole bring up Karloff? You think it takes talent to play Frankenstein? It's all makeup and grunting.
Bella, I agree 100%. Now, Dracula, that's a role that requires talent.
Of course. Dracula requires presence. It's all in the eyes and the voice and the head.
That's right. That's right. You seem a little agitated. You want to go outside and get some air?
Bullshit. I'm ready now. Roll the camera.
Yeah, he won an Oscar for that one.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you've seen the movie recently.
I haven't.
But it's a beautiful performance. It just made me cry the last time I saw it. Like, he's just both funny and very touching. You know, so I mean, definitely watch that.
That was
one.
the Tim Burton golden years, from Pee-wee's Big Adventure to like Ed Woodish and
what else did he do?
There's Beetlejuice. There's the 2 Batman films.
Yeah, those were about it, and then he kind of did poo on himself for some reason. I don't know why he shit his own bed. Anyway, my next one would be. I know you have some problems with this one, but I think Christoph Waltz in *Inglourious Bastards* is just one of those classic villain performances where you can't take your eyes off of him when he's on screen. His performance is equally charming and creepy and scary as fuck, right?
Yeah. I do agree with you on the performance. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is incredible.
Yeah, he's great.
I'm not a big fan of the film, but I can't deny that he's
Okay,
great
so
in everything.
Just quickly, what's your issue with *Inglourious Bastards*?
I'd have to go back, but I found its revisionist history, which is a similar thing that he does in *Once Upon a Time in Hollywood*.
Yeah.
I find that really that whole style does not work for me.
Right.
I don't know why. I thought *Inglourious Bastards* it felt almost...
He does the same thing a little bit in *Django Unchained* as well.
Django Unchained, which I really don't like. That movie I am not a fan of at all.
Okay.
So
well, we should discuss that further.
The only Tarantino movie I really, really love is the one everybody hates, *Death Proof*.
Oh, I love *Death Proof*.
Okay, thank you. Good.
I mean, his part in *Death Proof*. Yeah.
But no, I mean, Christoph Waltz is always great. He won an Oscar for *Django Unchained* as well, which he was really.
He
good
was
at.
great in that one too. He's just one of those actors that he's got a menacing quality, but also can play a kind of likable character, and he just has this kind of draw. I don't know what it is about certain actors, but there are certain actors who you just always get a little excited when they come on the screen, right? And
There's a Roman Polanski film called *Carnage* he's really good in as well.
Oh, yeah, *Carnage*. Yeah. And he was in a TV show, actually, I think an Amazon Prime TV show called *The Consultant*, which was very strange, but I enjoyed it. It was quite good. My next one is the great Mary Steenburgen. Everybody knows Mary Steenburgen, I think, at this point. Like, she was, I think, most famous for maybe *Step Brothers*.
So many things that are great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd asked me back when *Back to the Future 3* came out, it's like she's best known for *Back to the Future 3*.
Right.
Or she's best known for *Melvin and Howard*, or she's best known for *Step Brothers*. I mean, she's always like...
She's in so many great things, great TV, great movies. But I think her first... Like, she always kind of played that similar kind of cute, like adorable kind of woman character, kind of... and I think her first
sometimes
movie
maybe a bit ditzy, but
bit ditzy.
Smarter than you think.
Exactly,
anyway.
Yeah, a bit ditzy, but but great. I think her first movie was actually the Jack Nicholson movie called *Going South*.
Oh yeah,
which she's really good in.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And then she did this other movie with her. She was married to Malcolm McDowell.
She was.
Now she's with Ted Danson, of course, for a long time, but she was married to Malcolm McDowell because
she moved out.
They moved. They were in a movie together called *Time After Time*,
which is really good.
It's really cheesy, but I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. It's like all about H.G. Wells and Jack the Ripper. Yeah, they come back into modern
time
times.
Machine.
Yeah,
it's great.
And of course, that *Melvin and Howard* is one of my all-time favorites.
It's an early Jonathan Demme picture.
Yeah,
kind of his breakout, and she plays this wife and mother to the main character Melvin, who keeps leaving him and then coming back.
Yeah, because he's a bum, basically. Right? He's like a very sweet, good-hearted, but very not making money. He's a milkman. He's having affairs, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So she just takes the kid one day and leaves, right? But it's funny because then she goes and basically dances like as a stripper in Las Vegas, And then when I love the fact that when she sees him, she goes, "Hi, Melvin!" Like it's like this kind of like no animosity between them, right?
I'm just here because I love dancing.
Yeah, exactly. And then that game show scene is one of the greatest scenes.
She's on a game show tap dancing to the Stone Satisfaction.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But she's heartbreaking too. I mean, she's just the whole bit in it, you know, so if you know the plot, of course, Melvin supposedly inherits millions and millions of dollars from Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
But by that point, he's already with somebody else, and she comes back into his life because, of course, the will's being contested. And she's so strong. Like, she's not trying to get any money. She's just being there for him.
Exactly.
It's really sweet.
She loves him, but she's like, I'm not going to waste my time, right? Kind of thing. She's just, she's one of those, like, people who's been in so many great things, and, everything she's in.
The heart of, I mean, whether you like the Back to the Future movies or not, I love Back to the Future 3. I do. I love it. It's great. Okay, fine.
No, it's awful.
No, it's not awful. It's awesome.
But
she's the heart.
2 is quite good.
No, 2 is awful.
No, 2 is like
2 is garbage.
How can you say that when your favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life and it's almost a remake?
Yeah, it's a pretty bad remake.
No, it's a good remake.
No.
Also, Michael J. Fox playing like 3 different characters. I think that's really great.
He was great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. No.
It's a much more dystopian movie, which I like.
Dark movie.
Yeah. Whereas 3 is just a mess.
No, 3's great.
No. Okay. Well, anyway, you're
and
wrong.
Of course
You're wrong and stupid. But anyway,
shut up. And she's. And of course, Step Brothers. Yeah,
she's great in that. She was also in the movie Ragtime, which I was a big fan of at the time, which is a pretty underrated movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love her.
She just gets more and more beautiful every year.
I know, she's gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does it.
I don't know how she does it either, because she's like, even as an older woman, she's very attractive, right? So she's just great voice. She was great in Curb Your Enthusiasm, you know. She's just amazing. Yeah. So the last one of my performances is one of my all-time favorites, which is from another movie we discussed earlier, which is Dog Day Afternoon. It's Charles Durning. Now, Charles Durning is one of those character actors. Did a lot of stuff in the 70s,
in the 80s, yeah.
In the 80s, he's like one of those, plays a cop a lot of the times.
He's got a heavy-set
older guy. Charles Durning was in so many things, like lots of TV. He was in lots of movies. I'm trying to find other movies that people might know of.
In Dog Day Afternoon, he played the detective who comes on the scene once Al Pacino and John Cazale robbed the bank.
Exactly.
And he's trying to negotiate with them. He's not playing a hard-ass cop. He's playing a guy who's just trying to make everything go better.
Yeah, and he's got those great scenes where he's kind of flustered. And he's like...
At one point, there's a shot or something, and so everyone pulls their gun, and then he's like, holster your weapon, holster your weapon.
He goes, they want to kill me so bad they can taste it. Holster that weapon. And then he goes, our favorite line is the way he goes, here, you want something to eat? And he goes, can we get some pizzas? Yeah, you want some pizzas? Call mine. Get some pizzas? And he goes, can we get some beer?
The ship. I got some people in there. They're hungry. Can you get some food for them?
No problem. What do you want? Want some pizzas?
Yeah, I got it.
Pizzas? Hey, Carmine! Get some food in here, some pizzas, all right?
Can we get some beer, you think?
No beer. No. Let's keep it soft drinks, all right? Come on, all right? Carmine!
Hey, we get... No beer. How much some Cokes? Pizzas and Cokes? It's just the way he delivered it with that flustered kind of like didn't know what he was getting himself into. But it's just a beautiful performance.
Yeah. And he gives a heartbreaking performance in Tootsie where he plays Jessica Lange's father.
And he's in love with...
and he falls in love with Dorothy Michaels, who of course is really Dustin Hoffman.
Exactly.
And then the scene where he finds out by watching TV... he's devastated, but then there's a great scene near the end where Dustin Hoffman meets Charles Durning for a beer to just talk, and
it's a great scene. So that's my performances. There are so many people like who I really, really love. You know,
we could go on forever.
We can go on forever, and I guess the real point is that, like, you know, oftentimes in great films or even just mediocre films, what can sustain your interest and your memory almost is these great character actors and their performances.
Like
right?
when I think of the movie Network, which is
Ned
so
Beatty, yeah.
full of great performances,
Yeah.
top down, but it's the Ned Beatty scene. You know,
Yeah.
that is just like I never forget.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it. Is that clear? You think you merely stopped a business deal? That is not the case. The Arabs have taken billions of dollars out of this country, and now they must put it back. It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance. You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, Rins, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today. That is the atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today. And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone.
Yeah, Ned Beatty was another one of those guys who was great in lots of stuff. There's a lot of people. Like, I mean, again, we'll post our lists, but I mean, just looking at it, you know, like there's J.K. Simmons, who was in Whiplash, right? He's in, you know, lots of stuff. Charles Grodin.
Charles Grodin is almost like so well known, almost a leading man.
Almost. He never quite got the leading man. I mean, he was the leading man, if you want to say. I was going to talk about Charles Grodin, and he was a leading man in the greatest movie ever made, The Heartbreak Kid, by the great Elaine May. But even in that movie, his leading man is creepy as fuck, right? Like he's kind of like a sociopath or something. It's very funny, but you know, he like basically leaves his wife he just married 2 days before on the honeymoon, right? Very, very funny movie, but you know, Charles Grodin in Heaven Can Wait, hilarious, right?
For me, it's
Midnight Run.
Midnight
oh
Run
my
is
God.
the pinnacle.
Yeah, but he was
Charles Grodin.
Yeah, and he would do those great things where he would go on Johnny Carson or David Letterman and just always act like a super asshole.
So that's what makes him a star for me. Almost, he has such a personality, like
never,
outside of his
you weren't really seeing the real guy, really. Right?
Even in Rosemary's Baby, he's got like one scene, and it's creepy.
Yeah,
even though he's like normal, but we associate creepiness with what he does. It's very strange.
Yeah, and just speaking of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's also Craig Robinson, who I love. I think the best character is Doug Judy. And he was also in Hot Tub Time Machine. Which, the first Hot Tub Time Machine is pretty fucking funny.
It's pretty... I'm not as big a fan as you, but...
there's just that part.
But Craig Robinson is great.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's great on The Office, too.
Yeah, exactly. He's in the warehouse, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of other great people. I didn't mention Randy Quaid because even though he is a good character actor, he's such a right-wing piece of shit.
Yeah, it's our show. We can leave off whoever we want. Yeah.
But anyway, I'll post this, and then we definitely want to hear who your favorite character actors are. So whatever, let us know.
Agree with us, disagree with us.
You can disagree with Tom.
No, he said
no.
Because he's a baby.
I don't take that well.
He doesn't do well on social media.
Well, I do well on social media.
Well, you cry.
It's my OnlyFans page. There's a lot of new.
There's a lot of tears on OnlyFans.
Yeah, please stop. Okay,
And
well,
with that, we'll see you out there in the dark.